Okay, good morning. Welcome to
Number 1089.
FamilyMath1089. So I saw this really interesting article in the Washington Post yesterday. Pandemic overall death toll in the U.S. likely surpassed 100,000 weeks ago. And it had a lot of different charts and information that I thought would be really good to talk about today. So I had you both read it this morning. And can you give me a couple things you thought were interesting and you wanted to talk about?
So maybe they talked about the divide in the reporting between Republican and Democratic states.
Okay.
And they...
Sorry, this marker's not so great. But go ahead, keep talking. I'll find it again.
They also looked at the number of deaths compared to, like, the extent of the restrictions put in place, and they found that for the most part, the states with the highest restrictions, most major restrictions, also had the highest number of deaths.
Deaths, the states that had the highest number of restrictions have the highest number of deaths. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, what are some things you found interesting?
I think about the excess deaths and like what percentage of those were attributed to the pandemic. I think there was a table about that.
All right.
And kind of how the estimates change and can change drastically with new data points.
Okay. As to how, actually, can you write that in? I can't squeeze my arm in through the tripod.
How estimates change.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so first, before we dive into any of this, let's talk about the chart that's right on the front there. Let me zoom in on it. What is this chart showing?
So it has two curves. One is this deaths, that's this black line, and this kind of purple shading, and then that's the reported deaths. But then I think overall, like this purple shading and this like gray area, that's the total deaths, and then the second curve here tells you the excess deaths that aren't the excess deaths in the U.S. that aren't attributed to the pandemic.
This one here.
Yes. All right. So what did you see in this chart?
Well, I saw this is probably a graph of the expected number of deaths. This line here.
Yeah.
Maybe before the pandemic in previous years.
Uh-huh.
And then this is the actual number. This curve here was when the COVID-19 hit the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And this purple is the deaths that are related to COVID-19, and then this is extra deaths that aren't related.
That have been reported as not related.
Okay, so let me ask you a question first. From this graph, how do I figure out how many excess deaths there have been?
Well, the total excess deaths are this black curve here, but then they're split up into two parts. The purple is the excess related to COVID-19, and
Yeah, but the article was saying that there's been more than 100,000 excess deaths. So how would I figure out 100,000 from this graph?
well, if you went by sort of week by week and added up the numbers, if you got the points along this curve.
Okay, yeah, that would be really the way to do it. What would you say?
You have to integrate this curve.
Okay.
And find the area under it. It's like all of this.
Yeah. And just the excess deaths sort of the part above it. So it is translating from the graph to the number of excess deaths still requires a little bit of work to do. But okay, so let's spend another video talking about what you thought were interesting. All right?
Okay.